the deal is an agreement between the two countries in terms of the next steps in their carbon cuts. So as we go into the international agreement next year in Paris, countries are supposed to propose what they will do for the period after 2020. And this is these two countries stepping up and saying what their targets will be for that period. So the U.S. has proposed to further strengthen their target by cutting them to 26% below 2005 levels by 2025, as President Obama outlined. And the Chinese have outlined that for the first time they're going to commit to have their CO2 emissions peak, which is a huge deal given their fast-growing economy.
Now, in terms of the statement by President Obama, to what degree is this largely symbolic, since obviously he would need some kind of congressional support or endorsement of such a policy?
Well, our assessment has looked at this, and we've come up with a very strong conclusion, which is that this can actually be achieved under the existing law. Congress has passed the Clean Air Act. Congress has given them the authority to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, and we expect that this kind of target can be met without having to go back to Congress for new legislation. Clearly, we have to ensure that Congress doesn't try to stop that, but the president does have the power to veto those, and we expect that this and future administrations will clearly send that signal that any efforts to try to roll back these landmark agreements will be undercut.
After the deal was announced, Senate Minority Leader, who could be Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, said, quote, "Our economy can't take the president's ideological war on coal that will increase the squeeze on middle-class families and struggling miners. This unrealistic plan that the president would dump on his successor would ensure higher utility rates and far fewer jobs." Jake Schmidt, your response.
Well, we've proven time and time again that you can grow the American economy and not and solve environmental challenges. We're having a booming wind and solar market that's creating jobs in the United States. People are installing energy-efficient windows and light bulbs and insulation throughout the U.S. So we're confident that as America continues to invest in these clean energy solutions, that it won't drive the economy into bankruptcy, as some claim. In fact, the opposite has been proven over the past decades, where we've been proven that, you know, the reality is that America can grow and can still solve our environmental challenges.
And, Jake, one question about the Chinese commitment. They're talking about producing 20% of all of China's energy needs by 2030 from non-fossil fuel energy. How big a deal is that, and what would it take for the Chinese government to be able to accomplish that?
They're about halfway to that goal now, which is a huge, challenge as they go forward. They've clearly broken almost every record that's been ever set in terms of wind and solar deployment. So the Chinese have proven that they can actually deploy these clean energy solutions, and they'll just have to double down on it. But the reality is that China builds out sort of its next branch of energy infrastructure. The cost of wind and solar and energy efficiency is much more cost competitive with things like coal. And given, given the challenging air pollution in China, it's quite clear that they cannot continue to rely on coal because that's just having a devastating impact on their own citizens.